The next step is to choose two colors. You're going to have an A color and a B color. And here's an example of what it should look like. Here's my A color, here's my B color. You're going to choose two colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And this is called analogous colors. Say it with me. Analogous colors. Okay? So here's our first colors. Here's going to be my A color. And here's going to be my B color. If it helps you to label it, do it. If it doesn't, then don't worry. Okay, I'm going to start with my A color, and I'm going to go over the first piece of my black paper. Then I'm going to go under the second piece, over the third piece, under the fourth piece, over the fifth, and below the sixth. And since we made 5 lines, we have 6 pieces of paper. So there's my first one. Now I'm going to do my other one. My second one, if we look back at our demonstration, is opposite. This one's on top. This one is underneath. If I turn it over, you can see it's underneath there. So my next one is going to be the opposite pattern. It's going to go under first, and then over. And then under. Notice how I lift this up. And then over. And then under. And then over. Now, once you get your first 2 pieces of paper in there, you're going to kind of push them up as far as you can, and you're going to show Mr. Lundgren. Mr. Lundgren's going to check that your first and your second piece are correct. When you get a thumbs up from Mr. Lundgren to go on, then you're going to continue with your A color again. And your A color should match exactly the same as your A line. If it's okayed by me, it will be good, and you'll get your work done there. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to match. I go over, under, over. What am I going to do with my next one? Under, right. Now what am I going to do with my next? Over, good. And then I'm going to go under. Okay, now my third line is going to be my B color again. And it's going to follow the same exact pattern. I'm going to go under. Both of them are under. My next one, both of them need to be over. Now I need to be under, over, under. So you get the pattern. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Right? Under here and over the last one. Okay? Now, sometimes kids do this on accident. They take the first one, they got it right, and they're talking to their friend, or they're not looking or paying attention, and they go under 2. And then they get their pattern off. And then they go over it and under it, and they're like, Mr. Lundgren, something doesn't look right. And it's because they went under 2 or over 2, depending on which, if they're not paying attention. So you really have to pay attention. So you're always going under 1 and then over 1. And then under 1 and then over 1. And then under 1 piece of warp and under 1 piece of warp. Okay, so that you've always got that pattern. Now I'm just going to kind of continue and get this whole line done here. And every time you do this, you're pushing your weft up so that you don't have any spaces in between, right? Always want to be pushing your weft up so that there's no spaces in between your weft. Okay, no spaces in between your weft. No spaces in between your weft, please. And that last piece is probably going to be the hardest to get through because there's not enough room. So do the best you can to get it in there. And when you're done, your weaving should look something like this. Then you're going to come to me and you're going to ask me how it looks, and I will okay you to go on to the next step. Okay, you should have it looking something like this. All your lines scrunched up, no space in between your weft pieces, and your warp pieces nicely delineated. Okay?